To get into some of this week's top business headlines with me today is Muktar Mohammed, economic analyst and founder of Finance with Muktar, a personal finance platform established for financial literacy and growth. Thank you so much for joining me, Muktar. Good to
My
see
pleasure.
you. Yeah. So, wow, Kwasi Kwarteng, ex-chancellor of the UK, now ex, he's gone.
He's gone.
What went wrong?
I think, number one, I think he was too hasty in making his proposal. He made the announcement so soon without contacting, especially without meeting with the Office of Budget and Responsibility. I think when he came up with those ideas, especially in the area of tax cut, especially, increasing corporate tax, cutting corporate tax, and also increasing the earnings of the rich to collect more tax from the rich. I think there about it was like, this is British cow cash. It's just like Nigerians saying, okay, you know, our oil, we're no more going to be collecting the money for the oil any longer. We're giving it to, so exactly that what I was doing. And British looked at it like, look, the market, they thought when it comes with those policies, the market will respond positively. But the market responded negatively because you are looking at the spending was high, revenue is going to come down,
Absolutely.
Yields started going up, the market became red. And at that point, the Prime Minister tried to see, okay, what can we do about it? But I think it was getting too late, and then the energy cut also did not help matters, and revenue was not coming from anywhere. No, Russia-Ukraine crisis, they're still grappling with gas, they were still grappling. So it became too moody for them.
And quite a melting pot of challenges, but you talk about the markets. The markets haven't really moved that positively. We saw the FTSE 100 rising by 0.09%. So investors haven't suddenly crowded in on the back of this. Is that because people are expecting the Prime Minister to go as well?
No, I don't think so. I think it would have been suicidal for the Prime Minister to go, knowing what he just came in after. She has not settled down. And again, some of the members were calling for election, and some say, look, election will be too expensive on the British economy at this time. So the Prime Minister just need to steady the ship. And I think one of those immediate actions she need to steady the ship was to make sure that the Chancellor goes and then rejig our mini budget again and see how that could bring more positive news to the market. And I think with the person he has appointed, based on experience, and he could have that positivity, but in the short term, is really going to be tough for her, especially it does seem to have the backing of the House.
Yeah, well, let's hope the new Chancellor of the Exchequer, Jeremy Hunt, actually helps to allay investor concerns. Now, let's move on to another story, Nigeria and the IMF and debt. The Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning says the country is not declaring debt restructuring, but is looking at an option to buy back bonds. Can you actually interpret that statement for us?
I think we say you say something here, your actions are different. You look at your budget, you are looking to borrow more. You have a high budget deficit. You look at your cash cow, which is crude oil through the NNPC. You can't even make 1 million barrels. You are estimating at 1.6 million barrels. You go behind the scene. You are looking for restructuring of debt. Your revenue is down. So a lot of things are not wrong. A lot of things are wrong with the policies that the minister is doing. It's like you say something one, and the actions are not reflective of what you are trying to say. Nigeria is in a dear situation. We are not making revenue. Our reserve is dwindling. NNPC have not remitted anything to the Federation account for the past 8 months. So a lot of things are wrong. And again, it's just plain lip service. We have the monster cost fuel subsidy that the government is not ready to tackle, is leaving it for the incoming administration to come and tackle. And that, again, might not all go well for them. You're looking at 6 trillion. Only for 6 months for fuel subsidy. That alone could reduce the budget deficit. We're not ready to take the bull by the horn.
Well, you know, it's interesting because this advisory by David Malpass, the World Bank Group president, saying Nigeria should engage with its creditors. What is the next logical step you see for the finance minister to take?
I think the most logical step is to look at our capital project, look at how we can use our capital project as collateral, get to the PPP, public-private partnership, begin to look at partnership, build and operate for the next 20 to the next 25 years. Government give tax holiday to some of these companies. Remember, you're giving tax holiday for some time, and then again, you're looking at those that are working in those companies, they're able to get more employment to people to work. Those people will be paying tax. So it's a win-win situation for the government. So what they need to look in, they need to look inwardly. They're just looking at, they are not innovative. They just look at what's the shortcut. We can borrow. We have the resources, we have the assets.
Well, that's the tough perspective there. So what you're saying, crowding private investing, make the environment conducive.
We see it,
and investing.
We see them doing that in some of the projects. Some multinational are taking over some of the road projects. Why can't you do that with the power project?
Okay, interesting. Let's move on to another issue. I mean, Elon Musk, he's been in the news several months. How do you think this process is going to pan out? It's been ongoing now for almost a year.
I think Elon Musk thought he was smart. I think whoever was advising him, he was thinking that, oh, I overpaid for Twitter. Later on, he was looking for ways to get out of the deal, but he already made a commitment. Then again, he came back to the deal. He has a tax issue with the government through the Twitter deal. The attorneys are saying, no, he doesn't have problem with Twitter. It's the Twitter board that has problem with the Security and Exchange Commission. So it's not clear what his advisors, especially Antonio, is saying something different. Twitter board is saying something different. And I think, again, we've not seen a clear-cut investigation what the Security and Exchange Commission are talking about. We've not come out clearly to say this is the infringement we think on Elon Musk. And when it comes to U.S. tax policy, there are a lot of loopholes that can be exploited.
Of course. And these loopholes, I mean, the impact on Twitter stocks, how do you see this happening and affecting the market?
I think what the good news is that the current investors are already cashing out because Elon Musk will have to go out with the deal. He has agreed to go out with the deal at a very high price compared to the price that it's been sold now. So going forward, I mean, we don't know what he wants to do. Does he still want to make Twitter be on the exchange, or will he withdraw it to become a private? He has not come out clearly.
I guess time will tell. And finally, ASU strike, 8 months, finally over. Is that good news?
It's good news. It's good news. It depends, because it's good news because they say they are suspending the strike. They are not saying the government have not been able to resolve all the contentious issues.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the court, they trying to say they want to follow rule of law, and that's why they are going back. So for me, it was like 8 months of waste, because a lot of things that they're fighting for is still there. No solution yet. And so the suspension, we don't know how long the suspension will be, but I can assure you the suspension will last till after the election. When the incoming administration comes into power, they will be dealing with those issues that ASU is saying, unless the incoming administration are proactive to begin to engage ASU immediately they come in. It's a short-term good news, especially for those that are in their final year about to graduate. That is good news for them. But for those still in the system, it's still shaky.
Yeah, and this has huge implications for the education sector. As you know, these are the future of young people who are coming out into the job market, who are trying to get their qualifications on time to be eligible for employment. How do you see this reverberating from an economic perspective? From
an economic perspective, you have to look at the key driver of any economic innovation comes from the tertiary institution and comes from the prophets, the professors or the lecturers, your key academic. They came to be the one to drive it, and then you begin to see a snowball effect. When those key sector that is supposed to be innovative is dormant, then you know what we're going to happening in the economy thus far. Unemployment is already high, so we shouldn't be celebrating that. Even if some of them will say, even if we come out today, I mean, we have about 100 million Nigerian youth that are unemployed. So add up for 2 years of those youth up to it. So, and there's no any sign to see anything will happen differently, especially with the present administration. There's no sign to say anything will be done differently. So definitely, I think when you look at the educational sector, I said it, I think it's a deliberate plot to continue to make the average Nigeria, or where there's not even a middle Nigeria, there's not even an average Nigeria, the very poor Nigeria. I like saying what Nelson Mandela said sometimes. He says education that makes the child of a bricklayer to become the president of a country is education that gives the child of a security man to become something in life. So if that key sector is not being seen as a priority, even in the budget, we're not seeing this as a priority.
I was going to come to the issue of the budget. When you look at the budget, which was recently presented to the National Assembly by President Buhari, in terms of what is being directed towards the education sector, are you optimistic?
The budget as entirely, not just even let's leave the educational sector. We know definitely, I'm not optimistic about that. The budget entirely, let me tell you how budget works once we have preparing for an incoming administration. The outgoing administration just present those budget for ritual, so that it wouldn't be like there's no budget. Remember that this budget is coming into law by January 1st, thanks to Buhari, or thanks to the National Assembly rubber stamping of every budget that he brings. So by 1st of January, we said, oh, the budget is working. From January, remember, we're in the thick of the electoral campaign. From February, we get the election on stream. From March, we set up a transition committee for the new administration. administration. By May, we get the new administration in power. By June, guess what? They go back to the National Assembly and ask for supplementary budget.
Yeah.
That's the way.
Some very tough words there, Muktar, but is there a silver lining? What is your outlook for Nigeria as a country from an economic standpoint over the next few months to the elections?
Over the next few months for the election, absolutely nothing. Governments take the back seat. After the election, peaceful election, the market will react. Look at the three presidential candidates. I say it, they are pro-economic policies. Whichever, I mean, the main presidential candidate, the Labour Party, the APC, and the PDP. When you look at those three candidates, you realize that economically, I think they will do better than the 8 years we've seen of President Buhari. Which of them comes in? Because when you look at the antecedent and what they've been able to achieve in their little capacity, then you are excited in the coming years. But when you look at presently, remember in this country, you don't have to go for the Minister for Labour, for State for Labour, is the spokesman of the presidential campaign of the APC, the Minister of Labour and Productivity. It's all politicking now. Governance take the backseat. So before governance comes in, June.
Okay, well, look, what we hope for is economic stability and political stability. It's so great speaking to you, Muktar Mohammed, finance expert and economist. Thank you for being with us.
Yeah, always a pleasure.
Thank you.